Spider-Man No Way Home was just such an insane movie. From finally bringing all three Spider-Man into one movie and officially introducing the multiverse, this movie was just straight up insane. With the multiverse finally being a thing in the MCU, the way I see it, I feel like that kind of changes the MCU a little bit. One reason is the MCU may start doing more movies just like Far From Home, bringing alternate versions of a character, and either they can have their own solo film or they might just do more team up films, which they did with Spider-Man No Way Home, and honestly, it was successful. So I don't have like a doubt in my mind that they're not going to stop doing this, because this was just like a great way to, introduce characters that we've already seen on screen before and flesh them out some more. And also just have them interact with like, the MCU characters, since, obviously they're from different universes. So just like with No Way Home, having Toby, Andrew, and Tom's Peter Parker interact with each other, a whole lot of emotions were going on for me. Like for one, like it was just so wholesome. It was so beautiful. It was just like, I honestly just couldn't put it into words, just like how much I love their interactions with each other. Or even like with Andrew's interaction with MJ and Ned, how like, when he first shows up in the movie, MJ and Ned, they're kind of like hesitant, like, they kind of like don't believe that Andrew is Peter Parker, even though he is wearing the spider suit. He's hanging on the ceiling and he's even crawling on the ceiling. They still don't believe him, but like they kind of do at the same time. So it's just like, I don't know, just those little moments like that, I don't know, made my, like, I love that interaction so much between Andrew, MJ, and Ned. But with Toby's interaction with MJ, Ned, and especially Ned's Lola, where, Toby comes into the picture, Ned's Lola just looking at him, kind of giving him that, like, flirtatious look and everything. It seems like Ned's Lola was trying to find Ned a new Lolo. She was pretty much like, Oy, ano yan? Handsome yan? Guapo yan? Oh, I wonder if he can shoot webs out of his longanisa. Oh my gosh. Why did I write that? Oh my gosh. I'm sorry. Like, yeah, that was pretty much kind of like what I was getting with Ned's Lola when she saw Toby. I loved it. I loved every second of it because it was just so hilarious to me. But yeah, I honestly just really love like just that little moment with like Ned's Lola and Toby. Oh, it was just so cute. And I think I also love it for the Filipino representation, because that was dope. So yeah, I really love that moment. And I felt like their interactions with each other, it wasn't too little and it wasn't too much. I felt like it was just enough. Like that's what this movie, like in my opinion, what was great about it. It was like, they didn't do too much and they didn't do too little. They did just the right amount of stuff for like pretty much this entire movie. And then the big one, Tom, Toby, and Andrew's interactions with each other, their Peter Parkers, like how they interact with each other. It honestly just felt so natural. Like it felt like they felt like actual brothers in this, and honestly I just really love that. Like when they show up in the movie, they go looking for Tom, because his Peter Parker is just in such a low point in his life. He just lost Aunt May and everything. He thought he can help them, but he pretty much gave up on helping them because it ended up backfiring on them again, losing Aunt May. So he pretty much didn't care whether or not these guys end up surviving once they go back to their universe. And, with like Toby and Andrew, them showing up, they know how Tom's Peter Parker feels, because they've all been in that same position before, and I think what really hit me was when Andrew was talking to him, pretty much telling him like, I know what you're feeling, I've been that way. It even got to the point where I stopped pulling my punches. And so, I kind of took that an interesting way. When he said he stopped pulling his punches, that could either mean two things. Like one, maybe like Andrew Spider-Man, because he said he stopped pulling his punches, maybe he realized this after he was like either taking on a villain or maybe even just going after like some low level criminal. Maybe like he ended up injuring this person so bad to where they're near death, or even worse, maybe even Andrew's Spider-Man ended up killing someone. And I don't know, like that to me was just, that just hurt hard. Like, Andrew's Spider-Man stopped pulling his punches. And so I really hope we get a third Amazing Spider-Man, because I would love to see more of that. I would love to see that get fleshed out, to see like how pretty much he was living with himself, like after the whole events of like, the Amazing Spider-Man 2. But yeah, pretty much after this movie, I know a lot of fans, including myself, want to have Toby and Andrew have like just one more movie especially Andrew, since he didn't really have a third movie. Well, not really, but he really didn't have a third movie, which sucks because I feel like he definitely deserves a third Spider-Man movie. Even before this movie came out, I feel like he should have at least gotten a third one just to finish off his story, just like what happened with Tobey's Spider-Man. He got 3 movies and his story was pretty much done until now, which most likely, hopefully the MCU decides to push for another movie. I think that would be great. But yeah, like I said with like Andrew, in this movie, he ended up getting fleshed out a whole lot more, which was so great for his character. Not only that, he started to get the respect that he deserves, and he even redeemed himself from, when he saved MJ from pretty much falling off of the Statue of Liberty. So this is what I mean when I said that alternate universe characters can get fleshed out a whole lot more, especially when they interact with, the MCU characters, Earth 19999. Pretty sure that was 5 nines. I don't know. Like, the MCU, their Earth, a whole lot of nines. So I don't even remember how many nines I ended up saying there. So yeah, but hopefully you know what I mean. They can just flesh out alternate universe characters. And especially when they interact with, the MCU characters, I think that would just be really nice. Another thing the MCU can now do since they finally introduced the multiverse is they can bring up, interesting characters. Like they can finally bring in the mutants if they really wanted to. Since the MCU never really made any references to mutants, especially with like Scarlet Witch and Quicksilver being mutants, but I don't think they really called them mutants. I'm pretty sure they call them like, just people with extraordinary abilities. So, if they bring in mutants, they could just explain like, oh yeah, there's just another universe. So mutants can be a thing now. So I think if they go with the whole route of introducing mutants through the multiverse, I think the first mutant to get introduced would be Storm, especially for the fact that Black Panther 2 would get released or is set to get released at the end of this year with Wakanda Forever. I don't know. I think that would be a perfect place to introduce the first mutant for the MCU. What I'm thinking is Wakanda Forever, maybe they can write it in a way where Wakanda Forever takes place in an alternate reality. Reason why I want this to be a thing is because with the loss of Chadwick Boseman, people are starting to think like, okay, who would end up taking the role as T'Challa or who would take the role as Black Panther? And I know a lot of people have put in, a lot of people have like said they wanted Michael B. Jordan to play Black Panther or play T'Challa. And I love that too, but you gotta remember, Michael B. Jordan played Killmonger in the first Black Panther movie and he ended up dying. So can this really happen? And I think it could with the multiverse now being a thing. Because with multiverse now being a thing, if Wakanda Forever takes place in an alternate universe, then Michael B. Jordan could play T'Challa. And remember when I mentioned Storm being the first mutant? Maybe in that alternate universe, T'Challa is married with Storm, just like how they are in the comics. But I mean, if they don't go with this route of having, Michael B. Jordan play T'Challa, but it would just be another universe, maybe they would just have M'Baku play, Black Panther if they want to keep it in Earth 19999, which I wouldn't be mad about because obviously it would make sense, M'Baku was like the only one to challenge T'Challa back at, Black Panther. And, his character development throughout the entire movie, he went from being kind of like, almost kind of like a villain to being more of a good guy now. And especially the fact that he ends up helping out during, the war with Thanos back in Infinity War and Endgame. So M'Baku, they could probably have him become the next Black Panther. But if they did go with the route of having Michael B. Jordan be the new T'Challa, but it would just be from another universe, this could be something that the MCU can now do. Bringing back characters, or not characters, bringing back actors who've already played characters in the MCU and either their character either died or their story is over. They can bring back these actors and have them play a different character. Another example would be, with Chris Evans. Maybe he wants to come back to the MCU, but obviously not play Captain America since the Captain America story is already ended and he's passed off the mantle to Falcon. Maybe Chris Evans could reprise his role as Human Torch for the Fantastic Four movie that is also set to come out for Phase 4. Or, if they are going to keep Wakanda Forever into like, Earth 19999 and not have it be from an alternate reality or alternate universe, maybe Michael B. Jordan could reprise his role as Human Torch as well. So what I'm saying is, they can have actors who have already played a character in the MCU, but just have them be a different character. And it wouldn't be confusing because, it would just be like multiverse. It would be a nice way to see like, old faces playing new characters. I don't know, to me, I kind of like that idea. you know, like having Chris Evans play Human Torch and doing Fantastic Four right, since it's going to be with the MCU. I think, pretty sure, I could be wrong. I tend to be wrong on a lot of things, but you know, I mean, just like having like actors who have already played characters in the MCU, but just have them come back and play as different characters and just explain, oh, it's an alternate universe, you know, multiverse is now a thing, so yeah, things can happen. So that's pretty much all I have for right now with like the MCU, like what they can do with a multiverse, since now it's officially a real thing, which I'm so excited for, because now they kind of just like having an unlimited amount of like things that they can do with the MCU and not have it like, you know, just not have it be, you know, boring or like repetitive. And I don't know, having just having the multiverse is just so exciting now, because like I said, they can do so many things. So that is all that I really have for right now when it comes to like what the MCU may end up doing with a multiverse, since now it's officially a real thing. So I'll end the video here. Thank you all for watching. Don't forget to hit the subscribe button, comment on the video, let me know what you guys think of what the MCU may end up using the multiverse for. Would definitely love to hear it. Like the video, y'all know the whole thing. And again, thank you all for watching. Until next time. See ya.